was about to reference somebody else who's been being picked on a lot recently, John, but I'm not going to pick on the poor guy.
No, no need to. The implication stands, Mike. People know.
Yeah.
You have implied enough, unfortunately. Or fortunately.
Yeah, they've got to stop with the fact checks. They've got to Shanks. Arcane Curse is going to connect. Won't be enough slow though. Here come the wolves, saying hello to Eris. Probably be Eris all game, just being chased by wolves.
It will be.
And it seems like we probably won't get an early fight. Yes, John?
You know how Tino is as well. You know, he's really just going to gun for that one guy to feed off of. And maybe that's why Shanks, Tino, best eater combo. They're going to be eating something here for sure. They're going to be chewing up Eris as much as possible. Okay. Which is not going to be fun for him. Again, that's where the beauty of this Lycan last pick comes in. And again, it ties in with this pushing from the Shadow Shaman. Didn't even get to talk about that. There is a lot of siege coming out. Very free siege as well. Mass Serpent Port down, a couple of wolves, your Dominator creep up, and you will just melt objectives. Shanks? Yeah.
Is okay. 2 for 2 trade on the bounty rune, so even start between these two sides. Of course, mid lane is where our interest always peaks. Jonathan, you're going to have Mac against Lewis on the Quap and Puck matchup. This one, again, should be interesting. I imagine this time around it will be Puck favored because you can actually kind of, you know, abuse your Puckish here against the Queen of Pain. We shall see what Lewis does do. But it should be a pretty good time here for Mac, and I don't think Lewis will struggle too much either.
No. This is a lane where you go all in on Scream of Pain, though, for Lewis, and he does stick to Masochist for his fast tier, so... Oh, aha, that's a little bit early.
First Blood. That is very early. First Blood drawn. Akashi, of all people, will secure that First Blood to make matters worse. Keep in mind, it is Razor Silencer that you're up against, so if you get caught as the Shaman, you know, that's slow from the Arcane Curse. It's going to be a big nuisance. The thing is, you didn't even have level 2 on Akashi yet, so it wasn't even like a plasma field on top. They just chased Shanks down with the static link and it was enough.
Yeah, I have to be a little bit cautious in the top lane as we do get another pause. Hey, again, Mike, what do we have here? The Filipino team up against a Filipino team. You're going to get this quite a fair bit, as we will get an instant G from Tino, so at least it's a little bit quicker. As quick as that of Shanks was. And like you were mentioning, right? Like, this does not bode well. It's a melee matchup into a Razor anyhow. This lane was never going to feel great for Tino, and that is the weakness, I think, as you are seeing aggression down bot as well. This lane, again, we talked about it. The Terribly doesn't necessarily have a bad time. It also doesn't have a fantastic time against Doom Bat. There is magic damage here. You kind of have to play around Metamorphosis. You at least have an Oracle to save yourself from the stacks coming out. Like, there is a Dispel to play with. So you're not going to be burning down too badly here on Palos, but there is always that threat. And it's a bit of a fine balancing act for Palos. He's going to have to think hard about when he wants to pop Metamorphosis, when he does feel safe for it, as there is a lot of opportunities here once that fades away for you to maintain that aggression. That mid lane for Max starting to shape up to be a little bit tougher. Again, in the Scream of Pain, you're not getting as much of steady value from your phase shift overall, but you are still finding enough value. And again, you're not completely outrange in comparison to what Ken had to do. Like, the Quap is a little bit up close and personal into the Puck, so it's not as brutal as it was for the Lina matchup. And Mac is, again, comparatively having a good time here.
That bottom lane, like, we haven't really talked about bottom at all. You've got Raven and Jing, of course, against Palos and CML. It is a pretty passive lane, in fairness. Like, you could see some kills come out maybe towards CML or maybe even towards Palos, but the thing is, as long as CML's there, chances are you aren't going to be able to get enough sticky napalm stacks to actually start chasing anyone down. Even if you do, Fate's Edict will eventually be available for the Oracle, and that means you're just not going to do any magic damage. So it seems like we won't really be seeing too many kills down bottom. And that seems to favor Palos, who's having a great old time.
He is. And you have to be a little bit cautious at the very least. Like, if there is a commitment coming out there on the side of Nemesis, I mean, you do have Dispels on CML. but you have to be very smart with how you use that Fortune's End, as, again, they can still somewhat threaten when Metamorphosis is down here on Palos. So far, so good, though, for the side of Exe. Their one pain point seems to be mid, but it's not too bad overall. Like, Lewis is still maintaining a slight advantage. The denies are going to hurt Mac in that progression into the 6. The lane for Akashi has slowed down, but they are finding kills.
His brain is
at least.
They are. Eris, he'll find another one. It's going to be onto Shanks again. The Shaman really having a pretty poor time. Apart from that, though, both other lanes are going pretty swimmingly for both sides. It's been quite an even affair. Small chase onto CML. He's going to be okay. Palos is going to get knocked back by a flame break, but he'll also be just fine. The mid lane matchup is still slightly favoring Lewis, so the Quap has indeed been able to pull slightly ahead, but it really is nothing to write home about. He has got a slight XP advantage, though, as well, which could be a slight concern for Mac as the laning stage does go on. But honestly, as the puck, you're generally not very concerned about Sonic Wave, you know, because it's pretty easy to juke out as a puck. So I don't think Mac's too worried about the level disparity right now. It's not even that big anyway.
No. Should be able to work it just fine. Again, he's getting enough room. The rune control is really leading to some early problems for Lewis. He's forced to walk back home. They managed to get the rotation out from Eris to just snag another water rune away. They're setting up now for the power rune as well, getting some good vision down. We are seeing Gentino's forced to just dodge his matchup by going into the jungle, as was pointed out by our obs. He is stuck there. Again, Akashi wasn't farming quickest, but when you give him a free lane and a Razor, it'd be a bit of a problem. Jing, though.
Yeah, Jing definitely set to fall and does go down. Palos claiming a nice easy one there on the TB. Just a little rotation out from our Shaman as well. So they are going to try and maybe connect onto Mac mid. You don't really have Hex up yet on Shanks. So chances are you can't actually kill the puck yet. We'll see if he wants to try and give the Shackles a crack, but it seems like they're just going to stick around for the 6-minute power rune timings, of course. Try and ensure Mac doesn't get it, and maybe Lewis does. You do have Eris here as well on the silencer, but you know he's going to be kind of outnumbered as they are moving in onto Lewis already. Lewis will be okay though. CML starting with the Purge in the hills. Bit of a fight, and it is going to be a nice arcane rune here for Lewis. And Execration, they should be pretty happy about that.
But they ought to be. Nemesis do miss out on an opportunity. This timing is pretty damn good for Lewis as well, as one creep will give him 6, so he could translate this to instant aggression from the mid. And see, they have kind of split the supports apart. And the top lane is still a little bit of a nightmare for Tino. They are starting to get aggressive on Nemesis again. They don't have 6 as well on Makashi yet, but that rundown is here.
It certainly is. Shanks can do nothing. They will try to buy some more time, but CML's out of spells to throw out. Akashi already 2-0-1 on the Razor. Meanwhile, mid lane, we do have a Sonic Wave, but it doesn't mean much because Mac finds a kill anyway. Did something happen? I kind of missed the Sonic Wave part, John. Something happened?
It did connect for a bit. He did dodge most of it on Mac. So he took some damage, but not enough on that jaunt back in.
Well, that's the main issue with the Quack vs. Puck, as they are still fighting over a Shrine of Wisdom. There is a lot of low heroes here on the side of the dive, but CML does still get caught, as now they're all trapped in the tree line, but here comes Akashi to try and clear out, and it looks like they might still win this one out as Tino and Mac both go down. There goes Jing. Akashi still onto Shanks, should have a kill eventually, but no. Lewis walks away with a triple.
Yeah, a bit of an overcommitment, to say the least, there, coming out from Nemesis, and well, after our Quap almost got solo picked off by Mac, now Lewis is going to be laughing himself to the bank. He's going to be quite happy with that gold injection. Has a sizable lead now over Mac, considering how much he found there. And what looked to be maybe a big brain play in finding a lot of brain drain ends up not panning out.
Palos ends up getting dived though down at bottom while all that was happening. Raven just committing the Doom immediately to secure that kill once they knew he was alone. Meanwhile, mid lane, they are still trying for Lewis. Lewis with the Dream Core just going to wait it out as the Sonic Wave does get pretty much whiffed. And it looks like Lewis is going to have to die. So he will go down. Eris to claim the kill with that last word damage in. There's something about Sonic Waves today, John. This top lane. Akashi now being shackled up. Hex out as well. Akashi, he is going to drop. Great pick off here for Execration.
And that's a very important one for Tino to find, because again, we were talking about how bad his lane was. He was just jungling at around, what, minute 5? Just forced to go into that early. Does get his Dominator timing up. And does get that Siege. Again, that early Dark Troll Summoner makes short work with Palos connecting as well. And now the threat does start to materialize, because Tino's approaching 6. Tino can start to find Eris in the back. Just eat a free silencer. Run him down, get extra time on your shapeshift after the fact with pack leader. And for the side of Nemesis, again, it was a strong start, but you don't really have an advantage. It feels like you haven't quite found enough, and that little bit of overcommitment on the Shrine of Wisdom offsets whatever gains you had, because Lewis equalizes. Like, at equal net worth levels, you are happier here on Exec.
Again being chased here. Tino wants to land that stun. Really get there though, as they don't want to continue diving into the T2 tower with those kind of those TPs coming in. This is that part, of course, where Tino is going to feel very scary on this Lycan. We'll get a little bit worse as well with the Helm of the Overlord set to come out. But definitely, it is a time now where if you are Nemesis, you've got to play with some caution against this hero. And you look at the net worth as well, John. I mean, Akashi's at the top, but all 3 cores after him, all on the side of Execration. Mid lane, fight to break out. They'll try to jump the... Oh, not again!
Huh?
Not again! What's happening today? What's happening today? Why can nobody hit a Sonic Wave? It's like the biggest... But like, can we change it to Ravage or something? We need a bigger AoE.
Yeah, no, look, you know what it is? Bad juju. That's all it is. Dazzle's feeling sad. He's sending out some bad juju because it doesn't exist anymore. So that's all it is, Mikey. He's feeling sad. It's passing on. Quap, the cursed hero of the day. Yesterday it was Tiny. Not as much today. Today it's Quap, Mike. It's time for you to get some live Quap reactions. As look, to be fair, that miss isn't the worst thing in the world for Lewis. They do miss out on an opportunity, but it's not like they lose heroes in exchange. So it could be worse. You're fine. You're fine here.
Well, they did lose 2. In fairness, they did lose 2 heroes.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I miss out, but it's all right. You know, Lewis, he can still kill. He's going Dagon. He can't miss with a Dagon, right? Can he?
Well, I mean, we'll find out. Here we go. Here's our live replay. We're going to see it again here, Jonathan, because we're not missing any misses with this. Oh my god, right through the middle. Meanwhile, Raven, bottom lane, in trouble, still ends up running away. Now the dream call out from our puck. Lasso committed as well, right onto CML. Kuya Bryle is not looking Kuya happy here, John, as we are going to find 1 down. I know that made absolutely no sense, Jonathan.
It's good. No, it's
then
good.
They will get away with
Keep
1
going.
kill.
That is perfect. I like that.
I mean, I guess
as well.
it kinda
17-11 now. It
Are
works.
you happy? I mean,
we Filipinos, whatever you throw something out, we'll love it. You know, if it sounds fun, Mike, we're down for it. I'm down. That's
in my
good.
defense,
you're in the groove.
There was a guy in my high school that his name was literally Happy. That was his name. And I'm pretty sure he might have been Filipino. I'm not 100% on that, John, but his name was Happy.
It
Shout out to him.
legitimately could have been, or
it was.
you were
that was genuinely his
involved
birthday.
You could have been secretly involved in, I don't know, Happy Gilmore. Is that the name of the film? I forget. The Adam Sandler film. One of them is Happy.
Kidding? Yes, it's Happy
Smoke Out.
Gilmore, John.
I forget. I mixed it up with Matthew Madison.
Soon,
That's the
way.
studio. I don't know what to look forward to there, but it sounds fun. Smoke, this is something to look forward to as well. Surely Matt can't whip a dream coil.
Oh, they're going to jump in. Raven, he's in trouble. Immediately down. Mac, though, has Dream Core back up in 1. Does commit it onto 3 heroes, and now they're just all locked in. A beautiful flame break. Try and unlock them out. They will find at least Shanks for their trouble. They don't quite find Palos, though, who barely walks out of there. So it's still a pretty favorable trade for Execration. They'll end up finding a Doom for a Shaman. You can't complain about that if you're Exa. As long as Palos gets out. And that's actually a pretty nice exchange. What is it, John?
That it is. I think one thing I'm looking forward to in this match, and we briefly touched on it, but this potential for Tino would help the Overlord to get one of the Croakers, even the Boglets, all of them have some form of stun for whatever reason, some of these guys, and have them run at full at full shapeshift speed and have a devastating area. It's gonna be a bit funny. Those creeps are just horrible. Amazing,
the best,
but horrible to play against. Tino has that Helm of the Overlord now. He will stick to a good old Ancient Black Dragon, but you know it. If he sees a Boglet or a Croaker, he's gonna gun for it, Mikey. Little Tide.
You gotta.
Tide Hunter at home.
You've got to do it, John.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Oh, we have a bit of a lull period here between these two sides now. Very slight net worth lead for the side of Nemesis still standing, as we are going to get a wolf form popped. Chase onto Mac. Mac's going to be okay. I guess you kind of you maybe just go for the mid tier 1 tower there, John. Maybe that's the idea.
The moment Jing saw the phase shift from the cliff, he was still pretty far, instantly TP'd over there. Like, nope, not dealing with that one. And I suppose for Tino, like we were talking about the strengths of the Lycan. Yes, the siege is one big part, but he hasn't really poked onto the soft supports recently, which I guess is for our heavy eater Tino and Shanks. Not the tastiest of times here, but I'm sure eventually the opportunity should present themselves. They're happy enough to just farm. 8 to 12, less than 1k lead still being maintained by Nemesis as Akashi is inching towards that full Mjolnir time we've seen on the Razors. And again, that's been the standard build-up in, I want to say, the past month. It started, I don't think it started with Savage, but he was one Razor player in DL26 that was doing this rush. And it has been popping up since then. A little bit of a smoke. Let's see if they find an angle in here.
They could find Lewis. They will not, though. Lewis does retreat at the right moment. Instead, now looking for some supports right into the Shaman. And Tino on the Lycan, also getting caught with his pants down here in the Dire jungle. 2 down. In fact, make it 3 with CML joining the fray. Cannot survive as Era's taking all the int away. And, I mean, Nemesis, props to them, Jonathan. They understand how to run this draft. Everything's very smooth sailing at the moment. Maybe you get somewhat concerned about Palos as he is still free farming on the TB. But Akashi's doing the same, and I honestly don't believe the Raze is too much at a disadvantage here against the TB. You're really only ever worried about Metamorphosis with Eye of Skadi, really, if you're the Razor. And
yeah,
I think Akashi can just easily play around that right now. It's no problem.
No, it certainly isn't. I think one concern as well here for Palos is that it feels like it has to be a BKB game here for your Terrorblade, right? Not because of any sort of control, more so because of magical damage from Akashi. And this is where it kind of circles back to the fastest choice. Yes, you lose that presence with Thunderhead and clearing out the creep army and the illusions, but with a threat of really high spell amp from consistent static link, I mean, you melt through the Terrorblade with your Eye of the Storm. Right, so you will need a BKB on Palos. He only has the Manta, of course. You kind of want to avoid that if at all possible here on the TB. We'll see if he will eventually kind of consider that as an item option. They do have the siege coming up top. And for the side of exit, this is what they need. They need to melt these towers. They need to shrink the map space of Nemesis and trying to play the farm game. But they've gotten value already. Even the full Crimson Guard up from Raven. It's a little bit of a divergence from what we've seen from Doom, but you're up against
Palos. Palos. Oh, no. Palos. Yeah, he ran right into the vision of Nemesis. They were trying to de-ward, but you don't want to run in with the TB of all people. And now they're looking for more. Mac jumping in. Just a global stance perfectly placed as well. And Tino, he's going to try to run. He cannot do it. The Sonic Wave doing literally nothing. At least they got CML out of there, I guess. But now, I mean, just Nemesis still destroying the side of Execration here in this game 1, as they are still chasing down this Ancient Ice Shaman.
Yep.
And they've got it. Excellent.
More gold. It's just bleeding away now to the side of Nemesis. 6k lead. Eris has 14 brain drain without his bloody shard. Once he has that, it's actually a legitimate concern for how often these supports are dying. You want to have as much mana as possible on CML. The Shaman spells are also pretty costly if you're trying to zap consistently in the middle of these team fights. And as Eris find these kills, it starts to hurt your presence in prolonged fights, which to an extent is something. Okay, you don't necessarily want an exit, but it does feel like you're being drawn into here. They'll dig into Roshan at the very least on the side of Execration, but look at the read from Nemesis. Instant smoke. They don't have vision in the air, but it's fairly obvious with no one showing on the map. And they have Dream Coil back up.
They do. They're gonna try, jump in, lane break, Tino. In danger again. He's got no wolf form, but he's got the false promise out from CML to keep him alive as Mac meanwhile killing off Shanks already on the Shaman. Tino just dying to Eris in the meantime. CML caught. Tino eventually surely will fall. The Palos is waiting to help him out, but they will jump in to secure. Here comes Palos now with the Metamorphosis as Tino does eventually die and Lewis does to boot. And now the Doom committed Palos, not anticipating Raven still had this ability up. And now he can do nothing as they will chase him down. He's going to have Sunder at least once the Doom is available, rather off, and he does commit. Maybe he can get a bat, and he does. Palos trying to fight back now, going after Mac, but it's just too much. It's just too much. At least he gets a bat for his trouble. Eris is having a great old time. 16 int stolen already here on the Silencer.
His brain is so big.
And for Execration, it's not really getting much better here in this game. Number one, is it, John?
No, it isn't, Mikey. And mind you, this is Execration, a team that qualified to another tournament in very clean fashion. This is not a weak team. And again, this goes back to the point we were talking about pre-draft or during the initial phase of the draft. You cannot afford to underestimate Nemesis at any point. I would argue they're probably stronger than Talon, actually, because there's such a big unknown factor and they're playing so damn well. They're playing at their full potential. So they are a scary team. For Execration, I'm trying to take the path to simplifying. You do need a BKB to come in for Palos. I think that actually has to come in just because you are concerned about magic damage, as Akashi finds a bit of a freebie. More as well.
He does. He sure does, John. Tino to go down. This really does as well go back to something I think you brought up in the draft phase, which is the game was really reliant on Tino having a good laning stage and moving into having a really good mid game. We have not seen the pressure from this Lycan at all. This Lycan just feels like it's just a sitting duck every team fight, and I think once your Lycan fell apart, now all your pressure's just on Palos. Because Lewis, he's playing Quap, John. I mean, he's not having the greatest Quap game either, but it's all on Palos this game, and he's against Razor and Doom. It's not very fun.
No.
Pretty hard to expect him to carry this game on his own.
That it is. I'd say for Exit, did feel like they drafted for game and not for lane. And again, Tino had no lane to speak of. Nemesis, though, they're smoked up. They don't have those issues, Mikey. They have Doom available. They just need to find a target they can get on top. Execration has split apart fairly hard. They're not seeing the big targets they'd want. They're not showing in lane. Lewis is hiding nicely here, and that is some time I suppose you're wasting, but they are getting forward vision down. And Onsi, you don't mind. And you're getting farm build up on Akashi. SNY done on top of that. Mjolnir. You've got the Blink done on Mac, of course, trying to work into the Octarine. So the very slippery puck just becomes an issue. Surprised Eris just didn't commit to buy his own shard, but I suppose Brain Drain could be a little bit excessive. It would be funny to see us reach a point where we actually get an actual 15 mana boy meme, if you can remember that meme from all the way back, Mikey.
I can. Of course I can, John. It's all I remember these days. I don't remember anything from this present time.
It's better to forget what happens to Team Secret, Mikey.
I wasn't referring to Team Secret, John. That's not what I was trying to forget. Bot T2 tower.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Gonna be quick work here for Akashi. Go on, John. Tell me how Execration are gonna make the comeback this game.
Well, I don't know how to make the comeback. All I know is that giving objectives like this is really not what, again, this draft was meant to do. And all of this just links back to the concept and draft that we were asking in that last pick. When the Lightning came out, you know, we did conclude that this was for the game, not for the lane. We just haven't seen it work for the game yet. I mean, again, they get that good laning presence to shove in mid, shove in top. They haven't found anything else beyond. At this point, I mean, the BKB timing could be nice, as they're just bullying CML.
Yes, they are. CML will go down, nice and easy. Roshan, of course, continuing while all that's happening. Does it bother you at all that Storm got a facet, or an innate rather, named after galvanizing stuff, but Razor didn't, John?
Yeah, but he's also like he's the actual Storm spirit, Michael Phoenix. Razor is a revenant.
Well,
Storm is a Storm
defense
spirit.
I'll defend for you, John.
Okay.
Akashi on the Razor is playing a Thunder Spirit. Storm Spirit is all about electricity, right? You don't galvanize with thunder, you galvanize with electricity, right?
Yeah, but the implication of a storm is a lot of electricity. Natural electricity.
Well, that's true, John. Well, that's true. Then explain to me why the Razor isn't galvanized.
You know, that's a good question. That's a little beyond my scope of knowledge, Mikey. You know, well, we have a down period of literally nothing Execration can do right now. And you're playing it, you know, perfectly fine here on Nemesis. You're scaling up, you're finding more items. I had a little bit of a shower thought today, Mikey. And it disturbed me. I was thinking, if life is indeed a simulation, and let's assume that life is a simulation. Just assume that this statement is true. Does that mean there are, you know, like, are there exploits in the simulation that we can abuse? Like,
well, yes,
you know, like wormholes. Surely they must exist as a bug. Then another question rises up: if we are a simulation, are these exploits intended to be in for us to find in the simulation? Or is it just an oversight? And if it's an oversight, does that not diminish the prescience of our simulation overlords? Think about it. It's disturbing.
Sweet summer child. My sweet, sweet summer child. The exploits you're thinking of have already been exploited, right? All you've got to do is have billions of dollars after exploiting many, many people. As we do see CML go down, Jonathan. Well, that is the exploit, John. How do you earn billions of dollars in a lifespan? What is it, John?
No, I'm not talking about like economic exploits, like an exploit built into the nature, into the very code of the world, right? You think about the concepts of universal constants, the value of C, Mike, the speed of light is a universal constant. So therefore, the one exploit that we've discovered in modern physics that we can't debunk yet is concepts of gravity folding in on itself. Is gravity a bug, or is it a feature? You know, because it warps time-space. Think about it. Don't think about it too hard as the high ground siege begins.
Spend much less time in the shower, John. We'll put up with the smell. Don't worry about it. Just don't go in the shower again. In fact, just stop thinking. That'll help us out a lot more. Jump in for Akashi. Akashi's going to be fine. It's going to be one of the dumbest thoughts I've ever heard, John. Why would you even think that?
Dumbest thoughts?
What's wrong with you?
It's a philosophical question. You know, because I was thinking of it in relation. No, I was thinking about it in relation of Dota 2. Like, you know, Pudge Hook existed. You know, the Pudge TP Hook, the good old days for Dendi and Na'Vi. And that was not intended. You know, surely some weird physics interaction exists if we are a simulation that we haven't discovered. And it just, I don't know, it's deeply disturbing. If it's on purpose, then why? If it's not, then maybe the creators of the simulation aren't as smart as you think, you know? It's disturbing. This is what happens when you get brain drained down to 16 here.
I mean, you're just being so sacrilegious as well. I just don't know where to go with you anymore with this conversation.
It's just making assumptions and, you know, like a little bit of a thinking exercise, Mike. Don't you do that sometimes? You wonder, like, let's assume this is how so-and-so functions. What does that imply?
I think you should stick to normal exercise, John. Mid lane, they are going to go in. A big global silence, though, coming out as they are going to jump on the shaman. Although Akashi might die. In fact, never mind. He's going to heal up with the Satanic and hold on to that Aegis. Nobody dead yet on Execration, but surely it will be pretty soon as they do find Shanks. I'm pretty surprised it was only Shanks that gets caught. And with that, they still hold the Aegis, but they're going to go for the reset here on Nemesis. No need to rush this one out. Though I would appreciate if they did, John, so I don't have to hear any more about this stupid topic you've come up with.
No, I know. I know, like, yeah, if you think about it, don't you think about stuff like that sometimes, Mike? Maybe
yes.
I knocked my head a little bit too much. I think, I played too many games of Dota with good old Lane last night. They're not his fault, but sometimes those pub games can be a little bit interesting when you're with Lane. And definitely not that line I would use here on Eris, but sometimes it can be. And, yeah, no. Like wormholes, is that a bug or a feature? If it exists. Not fully...
Lewis.
Oh.
Can you get away? They've got to blink up on Jing. Oh, he's going to make it. He's going to make it. That's unfortunate for Lewis. You know what you are, John? You're the kind of guy that will die, go to heaven, and start questioning God about everything. That's what you are. That's the kind of guy. You're going to be like, well, I've got some recommendations, if you don't mind.
No. Well, if you want to get technical, Mike, I believe a certain series of books, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, once quoted that it had some good quotes there. I would just repeat those quotes verbatim. I would. It's a great book. What do you mean? Have you not read that? It's a great book.
Haven't, John.
The movie's all right. It's kind of funny. It's British. Make that of what you will. It's fun.
I preferred Harry Potter, John. Right? Back then.
His brain is so big.
Fair enough. It's a classic, though. And wormholes.
It is.
You might want a wormhole in Execration to find a loophole back into this game, Mikey. 9 to 29.
I wish there was a wormhole through my ears right now. John, as they are going to go on to Akashi. Akashi, he'll get 4-staffed out of it. Save me, Nemesis. Save me, please. Get me to this next break. There's only so much I can handle of John's philosophical thinking. Can't even pronounce it right anymore.
No. It's like, you think about stuff like, the stuff about Ship of Theseus, Mike, where you start with a ship, and you do repairs in the ship, you replace the floorboards, you replace the nails, eventually every part's replaced, but by design, it still looks the same. Is it the same ship? Is it the same? It looks the same, but it's not the same parts. Is it the same ship?
I'm pretty sure you can't change the bowl of the ship, though, so it kind of is. As we are going after the TB, it looks like Palos going to be in pretty big danger as all his damage been sapped away here by Akashi. There's a false promise of the sun that does give him a chance, but he's got no damage to play with. It's all sapped away. CML and Shanks going down. There goes Palos. It's probably time to call it here as they do finally do so. Thank the Lord for that. We're finally out of this simulation. Game 1 will go the way of Team Nemesis. Now, John
can push fast, especially if Tino has one of his classic Beastmaster games here. So, yeah, I think I'd actually lean towards X's draft here. Just a tad bit, Mike.
It's going to be interesting. I do like the offlane Abba, though, for Raven. Like, considering the value you get against this, the lasso, the roar. Like, even just having the Abba with the Aphotic Shield around is going to be really nice. But I certainly think Execration have the much easier to execute style of draft, and it is certainly very scary if they do get a lead to start off after the laning stage. Have a look for a kill on the left of this mid lane. Not going to find anyone hanging about here, though, from Nemesis. Nemesis sitting back in the Radiant jungle, just wanting to secure their own bounties and play it safe because their level 1 timings are pretty bad.
His brain is so big.
There's going to be a lot of pressure on Raven this game, I think, as well. Because, again, there's just so many spells he can ruin with a Aphotic Shield. It is a lot of pressure on him because he's going to have to, stop those lassos, stop those rules. But then again, it is still Ab at the end of the day. Like, it's not rocket science.
The battle begins.
No. Certainly isn't. It looks like we will just go for a little bit of extra.
Palos. That's not a good start for Palos.
His brain is so
They will
big.
give first blood away to Jing, so at least thankfully it doesn't go to Mac. That would have been a way worse start for Execration, but already a nice start as they do hand first blood over to Jing.
You have to be a little bit cautious about, well, just dying under the silencer effects. Sven does not have the highest int gain. Sven does not start with a lot of mana. So you die enough to Eris, you might not have enough for a full combination there for Palos. We could actually get the 15 mana boy eventually here if you're not too careful. So taking gander at that mid lane, you've got Mac up against Lewis, the Pangolier versus Tiny that we've seen a couple of times in this qualifier. And this one, again, is pretty fine for Pango. You've got the shield crash, you've got your ability, you've got a way of playing poke from further away with a swash. Uptime for Lewis and his way of poking is a lot lower. Tree grab early levels only gives you, 5 attacks, not too much extra
His
damage
brain
as
is
well.
so big.
So Mac is just able to manage a little bit more. There's always the threat of avalanche later on with the toss. You do have crash landing, of course, on the mid for Lewis. There is that, but again, the extra durability Mac has should mean there's no major threat. Rune control is going to be a big aspect for this. And that's where maybe Execration can shine a little bit more. You do have really strong support rotations that can come in, but you shouldn't underestimate Nemesis with a Silencer and Snapfire later on either. So again, both sides have some good play to work into probably the 4-minute rune in this case, as the side lanes are going to be a little bit more aggressive. It should just be the 1-for-1 at 2. But so far, again, decent enough. You're poking well. Mac is trying to work this early advantage as hard as he can and force reaching out onto Lewis, and he is doing good work with that. It's just once you run out of mana, of course, your presence does diminish. As Tino,
Eris picked up a kill here. Akashi was following him with the right clicks and the Arcane Curse proving to be just enough to secure Tino's life. Another nice laning start here for Akashi. Sure, he doesn't really claim to kill himself, but he'll be very happy to see Tino dying like that. And this is something, again, you don't want to see from Tino's lane, because Tino's too important to this team, as they are going to try and at least trade now. As Akashi, sticking around with a very low HP, is not actually going to die. He will make it out, which is a bit of a shame for Execration, but I suppose at least they leave Akashi with basically no HP.
if they do, let's see if
His
they can
brain
shove
is
a wave
so
out in
big.
their favor as well to take control of the Lotus. That's one way for Akashi to have some free HP to play with. We'll say playing into this lane specifically as Beastmaster and Batrider up against the Silencer is hellish. Arcane Curse drops, you can't spam your spells, especially for Chanks. Diminishes your presence in that lane, and it is providing that spacing for Akashi to even have an opening during downtime on Metamorphosis. So Eris will have to just kind of always spot out Shanks, ensure that the Arcane Curse is there to trade away, and he will.
Batrider, Shanks gonna be okay, but the Arcane Curse still ticking away, and the Reflection gonna be there as well. Akashi, no mercy here for the Bat, though can he actually get the kill? I think this might be a waste of time, and he will indeed agree and leave the Bat alone. And it doesn't seem like Shanks is even gonna go back to the fountain. He will make it out and just reset slowly with some tangos.
He did have to eat through that mango, or the Lotus at the very least. And they still have that complement of spells. Again, this is just free pain for Shanks. Can't do
top.
much about it.
His brain is so
Top lane, Palos in danger. They're trying to chase down Jing, but Jing will survive. Palos will go down. CML still trying to secure, should eventually have the snap, but he might be giving another kill to Raven, who gets the slows, has the Aphotic Shield. He can just run him down if he wants. Oh, that's really scary. You know, Raven, he's been involved in 2 kills already. You'll see Palos die. And I think you really don't want to give Raven a good game as well on the Abba, because the Abaddon already has too much value as it is, just purely based on draft.
That does. And again, we were talking about what Execration had to do with their lanes. Like, I expected them to have a lot stronger presence. You know, you've got Jakiro. Maybe the Icebreaker not the best in terms of finding that early aggression, but you know, you've got a stun setup. You could line up for just dual breaths and getting some free liquid frost off. But again, this damage output that comes in once you've got the cookie on Jing with the level 2 Scatterblast, that long-range poke doesn't care for that durability that the Sven has. Because they'll go again.
Right? Just keep running him down with his cookie setup.
His brain is so
This
big.
time, Palos will be okay. They don't have the damage for the Sven this time around, but it's really scary for Palos. Even with his CML Jakiro hanging by, you just can't feel safe because Raven could just purge off all the damage with his Aphotic Shield. Though this time around, they're going to try and abuse him while the Aphotic Shield's on cooldown, but they just don't have the damage output for it. Raven will be perfectly fine. See if they can get him later on. As mid lane, Lewis almost ends up dropping here to Mac, but will narrowly survive.
Yeah, you're seeing that Pangolier again pull ahead now. Mac should be able to hit that 6 slightly faster, although is slightly behind in the XP because of the denies coming there from Lewis. Oh, Jing.
Oh no. Jing with the shotgun gets the job done. Lewis to drop. Bottom, Akashi in a bit of danger, but it's a pretty deep dive. They're going to pay for it with Shanks' life, and now the TP attempt from Tino surely works out and does. But they will again be unsuccessful in trying to claim the life of Akashi. Now they are trying, John. They're giving it everything they've got here to kill this Terrorblade, but it's just not happening.
No, it certainly isn't. And your farm here in Tino isn't bad by any means, but it's certainly not the fast farm we were looking for. At least some pressure from Lewis, not enough to kill off Mac. I think the big thing Exa lacks, again, outside of just not really finding that aggression lane, they haven't been able to stack. The supports have been stuck in the lanes trying to support their cores. They haven't been able to just leave Tino alone. There's no stacks in triangle. There's no stacks on the right side. There's no instant farm that Tino loves to take. And that's going to be a little bit annoying. At the least Dominator, you know, he's going full naked for it, just lacking the recipe now. 5 rune gold off, so despite that, we'll still have that timing here for the Beastmaster. But you certainly don't have the same kind of flash resources to rely on after a little bit of a topsy-turvy start.
Chase on the Tino. This time around, they might be lacking a little bit of control, but they're surely not lacking any damage as Akashi. No, it's not enough. The Flame Break barely saving the day. Meanwhile, fight over the Shrines of Wisdom, but Jing's going to win out the fight, and in fact, he's going to find maybe a kill for himself here onto CML, and he will. Jing picking up a 4th kill already on this support snap fight. Meanwhile, though, Akashi finally will die, as Lewis will make the big rotation and does catch him without the expectation of the tiny come.
That's the punishment that you need on Exa. To be fair, Nemesis, we've been talking them up as getting everything they'd want. They aren't that far ahead. Palos is starting to find that farm up top, but isn't able to look for threats either.
Give a crack on Mac. Mac's going to be alright. CML not having the follow-up really to get enough done. So still a very slight net worth lead for Nemesis, but the real good news is Palos is still top of the net worth board on the Sven. And that net worth lead shouldn't be slowing down anytime soon because you have that inherent cleave. That is the big positive right now for Execration. And things are pretty even, I'd say. As Palos, I may have spoken too soon here, John. And I did. Palos is going to die.
His brain is so
and
big.
sadly, more is getting sapped away from Palos, which, as you can tell, John, he desperately needed.
Middle tower is under attack.
Yeah, look, again, if we could legitimately get almost the 15 mana boy kind of meme here if this maintains, and if you got a shard up in Eris, because again, your int gain isn't that high in Sven, your base mana isn't high. It would be very painful if you pop God's Strength, you realize you don't have Massive Madness because you don't have mana. Eris is just hanging. They have Global Silence ready on Nemesis. They could just force this fight if they so wish. 9-2 start. Again, that one positive of Palos having a good time is somewhat mitigated, just a tad bit.
Raven. They're trying for the Abba. I mean, he's got no borrowed time, but it's just so challenging. They will lose Shanks already, and now the chase is on for Palos, and this is just
Palos.
This is really bad. This is a real big problem now. Palos to die another time. I appreciate the emphasis. You know Raven's got no borrowed time. You think maybe this is the chance to kill him. Turns out it's not really the chance, John, and yeah, borrowed time's nice and all, but he's still always going to have a Aphotic Shield. It's never going to be that easy. Nice attempt, I guess, but it cost him so much.
And it does. And speaking of cost, because they die near Raven, he has borrowed time back up. He does have that quickening facet,
good.
so it's a positive feedback loop for him. They got the space to siege mid. You're not finding really anything here from Exit. You've been stuck mid. CML is trying to siege on tier 1. At least they are getting that non-committal siege out with the Liquid Fire. eventually should find the objective. But we're almost at the same point from the last game already, 11-2. You are getting more play, and again for Exe, they are getting free space from Tino, right? Like bot lane's completely free now for the Beastmaster. The Dominator's up, the Overlord shouldn't be too far. We know how much damage Tino can do with the right clicks once he's got his armor ready, and he does. Has himself the Dark Troll Summoner as well. So there's some good timings here. Execration does have that foundation if they'd want to connect, but it looks like Nemesis, they know what Tino's up to. They know what he does in Beastmaster, they just ignore him. Just let him run with bot, take everything else here on Exe. And again, they just shift that farming location. Akashi's just contesting Paulus' farm. Like, very aggressive on that Terrorblade. But he knows that as long as Tino doesn't connect, he's relatively safe here on this hero.
It is. I mean, the net worth is really starting to climb up quite quickly here for Execration, regardless of how this game has been going. Raven just casually chasing down CML bottom. Not going to amount to too much. A lot of huddling around in the mid lane from Nemesis. I mean, they are just kind of sticking by each other, making sure nobody gets caught. But nobody's actually hunting from Execration. Here comes the hunt now from Nemesis. They'll smoke as 3 along with Mac. Run down towards the bot lane where you will find CML and Tino. CML is going to block the way though, so they've got to go for the Jakiro if they want something. Unless they can wrap around the long way, but it doesn't seem like they'll settle for CML. Oh, Ice Path in the macro is nice, but nowhere near enough to actually get a kill. Not without like a roar, though Mac getting kind of stuck, but Jing still finishes the kill. Very messy, as they do have to pop the Global Silence as well, just in case. But they'll get something for their time. And that's going to be about all she wrote for that.
Considering that commitment out from Nemesis, you should be feeling pretty good on Exit. They're going to try for a smoke. They've got the Arcane Rune up on Lewis. This flank onto Akashi could be the big kill they've been waiting for. And it is risky. There is a TP point still up top, so they can respond here.
Let's give it a crack. Chase is on here for Akashi. They've got him locked down, but the aphotic shield from Raven. This is the problem you're going to have. He'll survive Akashi on low HP, but he's alive. They'll find even more. They'll barely miss out on Palos, sadly. But they will save Akashi's life. The chase continues as well for Lewis, but the Ice Path will give him a chance to get away. So Palos and Lewis just barely making it out of that horrible scenario. But another kind of poor team fight for Execration, and that problem is not going to go away. Like, these lassos, they're not a sure thing. Far from it.
Certainly not. And Raven, that was a beautiful movement out from the gate, like working his way from bot, sensing something was awry. Gets in, even hides in the right spot. I'm surprised that Exa just doesn't have, say, usually you have a ramp ward at this point, or a gate ward starting to build up into, say, maybe it's a bit early for the 20-minute Tormentor, but certainly is something that kind of starts to creep in with gate vision as an aspect. Not quite there for Exa. At the least, the lead of Nemesis isn't really growing, right? Like, it's still leaning towards Execration. Farm distribution is very staggered out. And Mac has slowed down a tad bit on this Pangolier, although he has hit that initial item spike of the Diffusal. So he can threaten. It has just been a little bit of a challenge in looking for those big pickoffs, as this time defensively, Execration are playing it a lot safer. They need that build up into the trifecta here for the Sven, which is still a ways to go. Massive Madness up, Echo Saber should be flying in next, and it is. But now you need a BKB or a Blink, and then that's when you start to get maybe a little bit more comfy here. You have that Overlord up on Tino. So there is this constant threat of pressure, and he has been hanging around bot freely farming. The Beastmaster now number 2 in net worth. You just need to kind of always force this in. Always try to force a response out. He's being very cautious, not showing his body. It certainly is at least using space freely given. So Nemesis aren't able to punish, and again, when it comes down to a farm game, I think overall on the side of Exe, you're kind of happy because this 20-minute timing, once they have a couple of Blinks up, they have a couple of BKBs up, does get scary.
Trying to pressure bottom. Lewis now going to join in as well, just keeping himself around the area in case Tino gets jumped. Doesn't really seem like they want to commit to a big defense anyway. Rolling Thunder though committed. CML going for a D ward, gonna have to pay for it with his life. Not really the worst for CML. He does at least get a ward for his trouble. He'll die. Pretty slow part of the game though, as it seems like both teams more than happy to just play the farm game. BKB's to come up, of course, so this is that time of the game where nobody wants to do anything. I wonder if Exa feel kind of afraid, you know, even once the BKBs are up, to try and move in again. Because it just, again, with these aphotic shields from Raven, it's kind of scary.
That it is, but at the same time, you can't afford to be, because Raven can only block out so much, right? Like, it's either he stops the roar or stops the lasso, but surely he can't stop both if Execration play their cards right. And again, you don't have your own clear debuff immunity Pierce here. On the side of Nemesis, outside of Global Silence, it's a massive commitment. You have to be very smart here on Eris to figure out that timing. Radiance is done on Raven, so he's getting that full presence out now on that Abaddon. Has a lot of damage to play with, and you know, you do have some immolation down the line as well if you get your level 20. Not sure if that's really actually valued here for the Abaddon off, but certainly a possibility with borrowed time. Some aggressive movement coming in now, amp damage plus a blink on Lewis, so they could play. Make it clear with the D-ward though.
We're gonna smoke up. Nemesis want to try and go through the bottom lane. Long Thunder gonna be used. Oh, he got stuck, but that's okay. Mac's still coming.
No.
Problem is, it's just too late. Very awkward there for Mac with the Rolling Thunder, just not finding the good angle to jump in. He was in a rush in fairness because he was trying to cancel TPs. So props to Execration. They all get out of there very safely. Doesn't really change much of the game for us, sadly, Jonathan, because both these sides still not going to be wanting to get much action going.
Yeah. And again, it's safe Dota. You know you've got a timing for Execration. You kind of have a timing on Nemesis, but you're also not under pressure because, hey, you have a Terrorblade. You can kind of rely on that. Blink Dagger up for Shanks should, again, start to provide some opportunities here. For the side effects, it's just a matter of will you want to hunt for those opportunities? Is the answer maybe?
Well, I mean, trying. Like, Raven's got a Radiance up. He's not really in any danger at the moment. Classic core Tiny problem. You just don't really have any damage with this mid Tiny.
Nope. Even
like after that initial
out
avalanche toss burst. Yeah, you've just got nothing after it though, do you?
No. You know, it almost feels like that's a byproduct of like the Phylactery Conda nerf. I feel like Tiny was a hero that enjoyed that. It's just so costly now. I mean, you get break on it, sure, but it's not really a great tempo item. Smoke, instantly broken. So I guess that's that. As Nemesis, I mean, they still have their supports in the smoke, to be fair. But no one will want to run into Raven anyhow. No one willingly wants to run into the Abaddon at this point in the game, so you are happier in exit. This is the side of Nemesis that's trying to be aggressive. They should be able to find a mid-tier 1 exchange at the least. But again, the network lead is slowly just getting reeled in by Execration. That's them being 12 kills behind. Just because they are more efficient. Like, you've got Beastmaster, you've got Sven. Doesn't take too long to really get that farm game rolling, as the side of Nemesis is having a little bit of a rough time looking for opportunities. Outside of the laning phase, outside of those laning kills, especially the top lane for Raven, things have slowed down to a crawl, and I would say for this draft, that's not the ideal. This game doesn't get that much harder, but it also doesn't simplify to a great degree here for Nemesis as you stall out.
Eris. Oh, awkward blink in. Doesn't matter. Toss back is going to be there. Eris will drop immediately. So Mac thought about jumping for a Rolling Thunder, but decides better of it. Push coming in again from Tino down to this bottom lane. They'll get a glyph, but they should have it this time. There's no real big contest because it seems like Nemesis are going to try for the Tormentor instead. They'll let the tier 2 tower go. They do not feel confident in trying to force the fight.
Radiant's bottom
I don't quite blame them as well. This is a nice spike right now for Execration. Tormentor out for Jing. Excuse me, rather Shard out for Jing.
I'm trying to think now. What specifically are you waiting here on Nemesis? I mean, you've got the Manta up on Akashi. Again, that nice timing for Raven on his Radiance. Perhaps they're just looking for a Manta on Raven as well and Blink on Mac. Feels like, I mean, Mac has his Blink, so it's just the Manta on Raven. So he's not instantly controlled up. He's not getting kited around too hard. Could be the way you go, because your initiation is a little bit shaky on the side of Nemesis. Outside of Global Silence and the roll. A little bit of a threat, but not much.
I think for Nemesis, it's kind of scary going into these BKBs at the moment, or even just the one BKB of on Palos could be a little bit intimidating. Kashi might want to just wait for the full Hurricane Pike because he may feel like he needs to kite out the Sven throughout these team fights, because as we've seen, Sven does tend to just blow you up very quickly if he gets close enough. And I think Palos is arguably at that stage where he can just delete Akashi if he gets close enough. But the issue is getting close enough for Palos. And well, here we go. There's a 3-man smoke. They're going to try for something from Nemesis then.
Radiant are scanning.
Good scan. You're on low ground though. A little bit
They
tricky.
Remember to Tino, it's a great target if they can burst him down. Silence is out immediately to ensure he can have no help incoming. And they do get Tino, but now the turnaround is here. Lasso cancelled by a Aphotic shot immediately off Raven. They are going to at least get the harpoon off here. Jing in trouble, should be set to fall and does finally go down. Akashi still around in that metamorphosis, currently ignoring the Sven as Palos. Oh, that's a nice avalanche toss, but it's not enough yet. Raven standing his ground with the borrowed time. Meanwhile, Akashi needing a Sunder target. Hasn't really found one yet. Will eventually move in with the BKB.
Oh.
He will eventually Sunder the Bat Rider. He will take down Shanks, but Akashi in the middle of nowhere now will go down to Palos, and I guess that's what they were afraid of.
Yeah. Again, your initiation has to be very smart on Nemesis. They were forced to pop so much onto Tino that kill took so long. Having this full AC up on a Beastmaster is just making extra durable. Some of that poke damage you're trying to release here. And now with the opening for Execration and Tarosh, the game's opening up. They have a 4K lead. The equalizing game. Secondary life should probably for Tino. Feels a little bit better on the Beastmaster than would on Palos, as Sven is a transformation here, but it does look like they'll actually just hand it to the Sven. So maybe just not expecting too many issues there for Palos anyhow. As again, they pop not just the spin, not just the silence, but the kisses as well. And look the positioning out from Exe. Standing on the side, managing to just wait it out, wait out the global silence, re-engage afterwards. And for Nemesis, going all in like that just can't be the play. I'd like to say as well, maybe a bit of a mistake out from Akashi. Not in the toss, but not sundering onto Raven just feels like a missed opportunity, because he still had some time there on False Promise. Looking for that offensive sunder, sure, is one thing, but it just is a risk instead of trying to stay alive with your Abaddon there. Take care of that free pickup on Jing, and they're just ramping up.
Radiant's middle tower.
But they absolutely are. Execration, well and truly in a very powerful position now. And you see Palos trying to get that Daedalus up, and that's when things get really, really scary, because just a couple hits and suddenly everyone disappears. Kashi's certainly not at the stage where he feels confident to fight back here against his Sven. Now, I don't know if he'll even get to that stage at this rate. Game is going a little bit too quick now in Execration's favor. Mid-tier 2 tower going to be focused down quite quickly here by Execration. Again, no defense to come from Nemesis. Do they even try for high ground? I mean, I guess you've got Aegis for a while. Palos doesn't even really need to commit God Strength if he doesn't want to. He'll hold out for now, he'll get a Glyph forced out, and maybe come back later.
Yeah. No problems, no threat. Again, the initiation for Nemesis, it's just so awkward. You have to throw out. It almost feels like you have to go with global silence and the roll, as we saw in that engagement on the triangle. And again, committing all in gives opportunities out for Exe. They just have a lot more to fall back to. They've got Lasso, they've got Roar, they've got the Avalanche Toss. You don't really have debuff immunity here on the side of Nemesis, so the Ice Path just cuts you off as well. And I don't know how you're actually supposed to angle in here for Nemesis outside of pickoffs. Like the 5v5s, unless you're heavily clumped up by Exe and the roll does connect perfectly with the global silence, then chances are you just run out of control before you kill anyone at this point in the game. You do not have that damage yet on Akashi. And this smoke is massive from Exe. This could give them the opportunity to fully commit for that high ground siege if they find something juicy.
Oh, TP. It's too late. It is too damn late. He is going down. That is massive. And that is high ground. If you're Execration, at least the buyback committal, hopefully, from Akashi. No way you back off here. So they just need a creep wave to get the high ground going. I mean, in fairness, Akashi's respawn timer isn't that high, so maybe they don't get to go for the high ground attempt yet, but I think it's worth trying it, at least for a T3 tower, and again, maybe a buyback committal, and they will give it a crack. Snow creeps. They're trying to chip away. Lewis. This is out the Avalanche Toss. They will at least force Palos back a little bit because he's not feeling too confident now with that low HP. Still has that secondary life though with the Aegis. They'll head over to the top tier 2 tower instead. Just play it nice and safe. It does not seem like they're going to be able to approach high ground in the time that this Aegis does expire. Unless Palos wants to risk that first life going down very fast. And Nemesis naturally just stuck on the high ground now.
That they are. I'd say if you're Execration right now, you can't afford to actually take that risk. Palos is being really good with just holding on to the God's Grant for the second life. Holding on to that BKB as well. He's got the full Daedalus up. Then you've got everything you could ask for. Blink for Shanks up. You've got the angle. It's a Blink for Tino flying in as well in this courier. So there's really no concern. Maybe the global silences if they catch you off guard, but you have the BKBs. So again, I don't know how you stop this. Mac does have his full Ags up. The slash just coming out on the shield crash can be nice. It just isn't enough. You know, you really need more from Akashi, and he's really trailed behind Tino and Palos on their farm. And this Terrorblade is just not dishing out the goods. Like, even when Metamorphosis is off, it just... You're not at the point. You don't have Scotty, you don't have Daedalus, you don't have Butterfly to play with. You can't compare right now to the Sven and to the Beastmaster. We'll see if they'll try. Smoke's out. Good timing as the Aegis expires. But you need to initiate somehow, and that's been a challenge here for Nemesis.
Palos just waiting in the tree line as well. Smoke broken on Jing. He's gonna see Palos. They do spot him out. Palos looked more than happy to oblige as he just takes down Jing in 2 hits. Immediate death for Jing. Palos though BKB TP away. This can mean that the fight could be won by Nemesis if they can find some more damn targets. BKB finally wearing off on Lewis, but he'll turn around and try to fight back. A beautiful Ice Path macro from CML, and now the jump back in from Tino. Mac is down, CML will finally fall, but the team fight is still being won by Exa. Palos is running back in the meantime, by the way, as Akashi now being lassoed right into the Tiny, though he will take Tino down. And Akashi actually gets away with a bit of murder at the end of that team fight. So not actually the worst fight in the world here for Nemesis, but still not really that great either.
No, certainly not. You are seeing how, again, how very specific these angles are, how it kind of relies on Execration to be a little bit out of position, right? Like Palos just going home, bailing out, does make that a 4v5. Even though the 4v5 seems like a little bit of a struggle here for Nemesis at this stage in the game. Could be a little bit better once Akashi does fully finish off the Daedalus. I think that has to be the point where we start to feel more confident here. Riven Lewis both TP away. That's fun.
Beautiful.
They just avalanche shots and go home.
Eris in a bit of danger. I mean, Palos is kind of just standing there. They could try for this, and they are going to give it a crack. Palos, his BKB was on cooldown for a second. He has it now. He'll continue on to Eris with the harpoon. It doesn't really drag him back. Palos, he will still survive.
His brain is so big.
Oh, Palos, you got to be careful. You've got to be careful. I mean, the moves like that, sure, you're playing on edge, but your BKB's down to 6 seconds. And had Akashi been around to get the right clicks off, that probably would have been a dead Palos.
That it would have been. I think it's getting concerning. It does feel like your big concern is Akashi, yes, if he's allowed the space to hit, but even Raven now running up at you, right, with the increased Curse of Avernus DPS, with just the Withering Mist health reduction, doesn't feel great. Your turnaround potential with Massive Madness there for Palos is not amazing once that healing reduction's up. And I love this build from Raven, Mike. He's going forward to Basher. That's what's been ruining them. These BKBs, they don't have any Pierce. Abba is the perfect hero to just stand there and hit. So once that's up, the same old TP go home play just won't cut it. Not that you'd want to keep repeating that on Execration. They still maintain the 11k lead on Exe overall. But that is just Tino and Palos. Mind you, those are the two most important heroes to have farm with. It does feel like you're starting to lose that impact on Lewis. He is going for the Remnant's Rooch at least. So you will have some output here once that's done. Even Chrysalis is already feeling good as they line up.
Max trying to get out of there. He'll be alright. Roshan not up yet. We'll be up in a couple minutes. We'll have to wait that one out, but it's buying more time now for Nemesis to, again, find a game plan. You're getting pretty close to the Daedalus up on Akashi, so some of his damage issues will be falling to the wayside rather soon. I say that, though, like, you're still going to have some buyback issues after that, I think, is going to be lacking a lot of gold. They're not out of it yet. They haven't lost to Rax. These fights have not been that one-sided. Not recently. And I think, like you pointed out, like once this bashes up on Raven, you do have some complications for Execration, because you might just get, perma-locked down here as a Sven or a Tiny. And Raven, he just doesn't die that quick. It could be very annoying.
And it would be. I think for the side of Exa, they should still be fairly confident in their late game scaling, though. Which is, again, leading to this little bit of a stalemate. They know how much of an advantage they have. And they know that if they give an opening, it can get a little bit awkward. Why not just try to outscale? Get that ramp up, get some more utility up. Shanks now at the point where he's starting to farm the Ags up on Bat Rider, double lasso. Could actually just break this game wide open. You can't save all from here for Raven. Although you just save the primary target, I suppose. Does make it challenging. They'll begin on the Roche. The Roar lets them know. Basher up now on Raven, and they'll try to run into that area. Mac as well having that Basher.
There you go. Aegis up now for Palos. Double bash is now available for Nemesis. See if that's going to be the big game changer here for them. Execration have been playing it rather safe, not trying to rush onto their high ground. They've just been slowly approaching the area. Shanks does go down on the Bat Rider, so now you put a bit of a damper on whether the push was coming or not, because you're not going to go without your Bat. In fact, Raven jumping forward now is going to go after that Black Dragon, but more importantly, he wanted to go after Tina. So some confidence returning to Nemesis as the game does continue. Palos sells his Mask of Madness, builds a full Satanic on the Sven in the meantime. So he's a bit of an issue, more so than he was once before. But again, they haven't really gotten to high ground yet. In fact, Lewis jumps in for an Arcane Rune, does swipe it away, is forced to BKB to get out of there.
You can tell the tension's up there in the air, right? Like, you don't want to give all these small openings out. Even if you're playing with Aegis, you don't look for that instant turn. You do lack Shanks. Respawn is fairly short. They'll go back in. This is Lewis without a BKB, but you have Palos fully set. And the Satanic plus the Daedalus should be enough on the Sven to overwhelm, so long as you don't get hit by Raven. I think that's a big caveat. If Withering Mist does hit, that 40% reduction again is gonna take a big chop away from your EHP potential here. for our Sven. And see if they can start to get more. You would want to start to dig into the high ground. Again, a prolonged match, it doesn't really simplify. It just gets more complicated for both sides.
Palos. Half HP down. Basher being a little bit annoying here from Raven. Gets a bit of damage onto the tier 3 tower though before he does retreat. Gets the reset in the triangle, of course, with the Satanic, and might have to just come back in like 30 seconds or so. Rolling Thunder is going to be back up in 7 seconds from now, so Mac will be available for the next team fight. And Execration are, you know, backs against the wall. They are 1 game away from being knocked down, so they are being ultra cautious about how they approach this 35 minutes in. Slowly but surely, looking to try and move up again here with Palos.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Yeah.
But you can tell the confidence just is not there at the moment. I mean, had you found a pick off, you'd be up there right now. They'll start to move in again.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Glyph forced out. Another creep wave moving in. They'll see Palos. Jump in from Raven. He actually does a fair bit of damage here on this Abaddon. They'll toss back Jing though. Jing, he'll be okay. Mac to roll in with a Rolling Thunder. Palos is the big target. They want at least 1 life. They won't get at them. Palos will be okay. But you can make the argument they have successfully defended high ground. And while all that was happening, John, Akashi, he wasn't even in the base. He's just farming on the other side of the map. So Akashi is being made to have some space here and is finding some farm in the meantime. Though he is TPing back now.
I like this. Full Scotty up, bypasses the Daedalus, so again, more stats, more healing reduction. Tie that in with a Withering Mist.
They're going.
They have some play here.
Toss back. It is onto Palos. Problem is Lewis now a bit slowed up as the bash is coming in again with the swashbuckle. Palos dropping really low now, being kited with that Skadi. He is going to be okay to make it up, but the Skadi does make it extremely scary. As long as the Metamorphosis is available, they'll all make it away. But this is that point now where Akashi can start to kite you very nicely as the Sven. And you might...
can.
I mean, you got a Blink Dagger on Palos. Like, you can just go for the jump in, but it's just not that easy because, again, there's a Raven Abaddon there that can just take off all the debuffs and Akashi can just continue fighting.
Yeah, and it's also just hard for pilots to know when to commit BKB, and Godstrength looks like he's just waiting for Aegis pop, which is always a little bit uncomfy. He will pop it now, but again, if his Aegis does get popped, he won't have that tool. Just the awkward things here.
They'll at least probably find a mid-rax here. Palos, 13 seconds left on the Aegis. They'll toss back Raven. That's a nice target if they can take him down, but Raven's pretty tanky. Meanwhile, Jing getting dragged back. He'll lose his life on the Snapfire, though he does have buyback. He's just holding out on that buyback committal. The chase continues, trying to find a straggler. Is now Palos. He loses the Aegis. They do have that first life gone. Global Silence is committed. They'll Lewis with a nice tossback back onto Raven, who has no borrowed time, and this time will get taken down. Very important kill here for Execration. Finally dealing with that damn Raven on that Abaddon. And now with him gone for 70, they should have another chance to move high ground.
They ought to. Issue is, again, you don't have that safety net.
Akashi's out of the base. Akashi? It's up to something here, John. Nice reflection.
Radiant's middle
Very dangerous position for Akashi, though. Toss back. He'll get the Manta, 4-staff away, but they've got the control surely. Sunder is there, Akashi. How are you going to fight this one out? They've got to help him. Cookie is down. It is keeping him alive. Meanwhile, Shanks is gone as well. Now the Sven in trouble with the Satanic. The Satanic going to keep him alive. Palos still dropping, but not dropping quick enough. As he gets the God Strength off. Mac will buy back. Palos still alive. Surely he'll tick out. Jing's trying. Palos with the last word now. I think will die. And Mac will catch it. Palos will go down. Maybe the position from Akashi does work, John. Do you call that a winner? I think so.
You could call it the win. It does cost a buyback and Mac, so it's not a very secure win here for for the side of Nemesis. Right, like there's a risk now if your Pango gets caught out, you instantly lose one half of your team fight. Like, again, that persistent issue still stands here for the side of Nemesis. Your team fight is Rolling Thunder and Global Sounds. That's it. So you lose one part of that, you are dead in the water, and Execration can certainly abuse that. Respawn times aren't too long either, so you don't have a lot of room to try to get map space back. You can plant some wards outside. You're not going to make any moves onto tier 2s. And there's nothing else to really threaten. Roshan still ways off, and again, Respawn will be up at that point of the game. So, you find some kills, it's nice. Yes, it reels in some gold. Sure, but Mac having to buy back for it is just scary. It's a scary spot to put for yourself on Nemesis. Have the full ads up now for Shanks as well. So double lassos available. And that kind of complicates things there for Raven. He's always going to have to keep an eye on just how exactly the lasso is set up and try to dispel off the primary target. Of course, it would make a lot of sense not to just lasso Raven, see how it goes, or, you know, just maybe look for targets further apart. This can start to make some big changes here for Exe, expanding on that utility. And for Nemesis, I mean, you're hitting your hard cap. Right? It's going to be a BKB coming out for Akashi next, before that Daedalus. And once you get those two items up, you're fully slotted up outside of just selling your power treads for, say, maybe a Swift Blink. Kind of get in and out of these engagements. Which, honestly, it's just so long to kind of get into. Refresh up for Tino, double Roar, double BKBs are ready to go. And a lot simpler of a game for Execration with all of these tools coming in. And for Nemesis, I don't know if this is going to be... You are seeing ways of poking. You're seeing if they do come out, you can kind of focus in quite hard. But even now, MKD for Palos, trying to pierce through the evasion from the Radiance is going to be a big step forward. I don't know. You have to be so smart in how you kite here on Nemesis. And while all of that happens, you have to worry about the tossback relocate plays and the lasso relocate plays. They just have an easier time in thinking about how to find an opportunity on Exe.
Radiant are scanning.
Well, there's going to be another big group up, Execration. Looking to pursue high ground again. They could just wait for next Roshan as well. It's not going to be too far off. Within the next 2 minutes at least. If you are Nemesis, you are at a position where you really don't want to have to give up another Roshan if you can avoid it. They do now have double Rolling Thunder on Mac with the Refresher Orb up, so that could be the big game changer here for them in a Roshan fight.
Are scanning.
In fact, it's just about to respawn too. Smoke on smoke scenario now between these two sides.
Is under attack.
They'll leave the TB illusions to deal with the mid creep wave as Raven gonna have his smoke broken on Tino. The rest of the Execration sneaking up from the back, looking to go onto Raven, but the global stance makes it very hard. Lewis is basically out on his own fighting right now as Palos has been spotted by Mac, though Mac gets held down by a Roar, still trying to move away. He does get the Rolling Thunder. Now Palos, he's in big trouble. Palos is gone. No buyback for the Sten. And now the team fight could just be over for Execration. Tino will drop. Oh, this is a turning point.
No buybacks?
Nemesis. No buybacks from Execration. That's just very greedy. And Roshan, of course, is now officially available.
His brain is so big. His brain
Oh,
is so
no.
Man. I mean, that's going to cost them heavily on Exe. Tier 2s are going to go. It's only a minute. It's not the longest response in the world. It's not like they died that, right? So whether or not you can get a lot out of this remains to be seen. The Roshan, it's just Akashi and Jin. It's not quick enough. So you're losing pressure seconds. You maybe find a tier 2, maybe find a tier 3. Any more than that is borderline risking it. Right? I'm curious to see how far they want to risk it here on Nemesis, though. They're still leaving the gem on the ground for whatever reason, not sending a courier out to pick that freebie up, so Execration can just reclaim it for, again, some inexplicable reasons here, but let's see. Half a minute without Palos, half a minute without Beastmaster. Again, there are opportunities. Very blessed to have the app damage here for Akashi. So this isn't going to be as slow, and this is going to be actually enough time to dig in. Now, you do still run the risk.
I said just at least a T2 tell. Yeah, go.
Yeah.
What are you running the risk
They'll
on, John?
play it safe. you run the risk of, again, just waiting out for Palos to come back and for Tino. Again, they don't want to take that risk, so you buy out quite a fair bit of time here. You are seeing the issues with Akashi. Like, this Terrorblade is a major player at this point. Daedalus just in the backpack as well. And maybe swap the BKB in and out for the secondary life might be a more stable way to go, but that's how it's running for now. For Exe, I mean, I don't know what to say, right? Like, we were talking about all the ways, all the angles they have, having to refresh up on Tino, double roar. You've got the Ags lasso out. In the end, if you don't find the angle and they get the counter initiation and global silence while you pop your BKBs, then you simplify it for Nemesis. It's been so hard for them to find these angles in, but if you get a little bit hasty here, the counter fight of Nemesis actually feels a little bit easier. If you misstep, you have to watch yourself in Exe.
Here we go, big smoke up. Nemesis, they want to try and press the advantage. And I say advantage, they still haven't got an advantage here, John. They're still 12k behind, but they feel like they've got a bit of a comeback on their hands now. Momentum is, I suppose, the advantage we're speaking of here. Is the Bat Rider has been spotted. Shanks should be caught. Raven does actually miss out. They don't see the bat yet. Oh my god, he's running. But Eris is there. Arcane Curse will be applied, but they're missing everything right now, but they'll finally get it. Dude, it's like for a second there you thought there's no way Shanks actually gets out of here. He does.
No. Yeah, it takes a little bit of time, and again, a little bit more commitment than you maybe necessarily want. At least you still hold on to the global silence with a refresh shard. They're realistically, again, they're not going to be able to find high ground off of these kinds of kills. It has to be punishment onto Palos, has to be punishment onto Tino. Either or on any of these heroes. And that's where your game really starts to get very interesting for the side of Exe. As even though they maintain the 10k lead, you're not feeling that farm differential. Again, the threat is very clear from Akashi. The gap from Akashi to Tino and Palos, just about 1k away from Tino, 3k from Palos when you're fully slotted up. That doesn't speak for too much now. They'll drop the banner and they'll actually try to force out a buyback.
Wow.
Still have a lot of time in the Aegis.
Well, this is going to be a sore one for Execration if they end up dropping this game. Definitely did not feel like Nemesis had any right to be in this position. Jump in, Lewis trying to find a toss. He found the right target as well. He's got Akashi, the real one. Akashi, though, he's got 2 lives available. He's got Sunder as well. It's going to be pretty hard to deal with him as Palos still trying to go at him, but he hasn't got enough damage yet. Now the Sunder. Palos. Oh, no, Palos. He's got buyback. It's all right. He can come back in, but he's got no God Strength left. Have they really just won the game?
No
I think
way.
they have, John.
What?
Oh my goodness, Nemesis making the comeback. The game is over.
Toss.
Found a toss. It's over, John. Akashi's on the Ancient. GG's called. Nemesis.
That can't be right.
Oh my. What a comeback from Team Nemesis. I genuinely thought it was kind of impossible by the 30.